Life doesn't always go according to plan. In fact, more often than not, it veers wildly off the course we imagine. You start something with passion and excitement, only to run face first into resistance. Maybe it's a lost job, a failed business, a betrayal, a rejection, or even just the weight of doubt pressing down on your chest. In those moments, it's easy to feel like the setback is the end of the road, like the dream is dead, like you've failed beyond repair. But what if that very moment, the one that knocked the wind out of you, is actually where the real story begins? Too often, people treat setbacks like stop signs. They get hit once, twice, maybe 3 times, and they start believing the narrative that this wasn't meant to be, that they're not good enough, that they should just settle. But the truth is, setbacks aren't signals to stop. They're signals to shift, to stretch, to break out of your comfort zone and build something better, not outside of you, but within you. Transformation never begins with ease. It begins with disruption. Think about it. No one changes when everything is comfortable. No one grows when everything is going right. Growth is born in discomfort. It's born in the moments when everything seems to fall apart. Because that's when you're finally forced to dig deeper, to question what you're made of, to rebuild with intention rather than routine. The most powerful transformations in life come after you've been broken open. Setbacks are like fire. They burn away the inessential. They strip down the ego, the distractions, the surface level illusions we often cling to. And when the fire dies down, what's left? The real you. The one who is raw, unfiltered, and ready to rebuild not just a life, but a legacy. Look at nature. A seed must be buried before it blooms. A caterpillar must break itself down into complete chaos before it becomes a butterfly. Mountains are formed under pressure. Diamonds are created in the dark. And your breakthrough is no different. Just because it hurts, just because it's hard, does not mean it's over. It means you're in process. And let's be honest, transformation doesn't always feel inspirational in real time. Sometimes it feels like everything is crumbling. Sometimes it feels like you're losing more than you're gaining. But pain is not the absence of progress. Pain is often the proof that progress is happening behind the scenes. What looks like failure is often foundation. What feels like the end is often the setup for a greater rise than you ever imagined. Some of the most resilient, unstoppable people you'll ever meet are the ones who've walked through fire and came out carrying lessons instead of ashes. They didn't get that strength from easy victories. They earned it through setbacks that shattered them and through the decision to rise anyway. Every scar they carry is not a symbol of defeat, but of survival, of transformation, of rising from what was supposed to break them and building something stronger in its place. So when life hits, and it will hit, don't let it convince you that it's over. Don't let one chapter define the whole book. Instead, start asking the real questions. What am I being taught? What is this moment revealing in me that needs to grow? What can I build now that I couldn't have built before? Because here's the truth no one tells you. In the moment your setback is not your punishment. It's your preparation. It's the pressure that reshapes you. It's the resistance that trains your resolve. It's the unexpected reroute that leads you closer to your real purpose. Not the one you imagined, the one you were built for. And if you're in the middle of a setback right now, if you're hurting, questioning, struggling to see the point, know this: you are not in the ending. You are in the making. You are standing in the heat of transformation, even if it doesn't look like it yet. There's more ahead, but before you can run again, you have to learn to stand differently, stronger, wiser, clearer. There's a myth that surrounds success, a dangerous, seductive myth. that the most successful people are the ones who got it right the first time. That they had it all figured out, made flawless decisions, and moved smoothly from one milestone to the next. But when you strip back the highlight reels, the polished images, and the applause, what you find underneath is something very different. What you find are people who fell, who failed, who were told no over and over and chose to rise anyway. Success isn't about perfection. It's not about walking a clean, straight path without ever stumbling. It's not about having a flawless resume or a spotless record. The truth is, if you've never failed, you've probably never really tried. You've probably played it safe, stayed small, avoided risk, and missed the growth that only comes from falling and figuring it out on the way back up. Failure, when seen through the right lens, is one of life's greatest teachers. It strips away the fluff and forces you to focus. It humbles you, yes, but it also builds you. It makes you resourceful. It makes you resilient. It makes you realize that what you thought was the end is often just the resistance required to build strength. The world is filled with people who had potential, who had talent, who had everything lined up for them. But they hit a wall, got knocked down, and stayed there. They let one no define them. One rejection, one bad break. But success doesn't come to those who never fall. It comes to those who make falling part of the plan, who expect it, prepare for it, and most importantly, rise from it. Resilience is the true currency of success. And resilience isn't built in the comfort of winning. It's built in the grit of losing and choosing not to quit. It's forged in the moments where everything feels stacked against you. But something inside says, I'm not done. It's born in the quiet decision to stand up when no one's watching, to keep moving when the applause has stopped, to believe in yourself when the evidence seems missing. Think about anyone you admire, not for their money, their fame, or their title, but for who they became through the process. Behind every strong, grounded, powerful person is a series of failures that could have broken them. And for a moment, maybe they did, but they didn't stay broken. They didn't let the fall define their finish. They learned, they adjusted, they came back wiser, sharper, hungrier. You don't develop character by doing everything right. You develop it when you do something wrong, when you miss the mark, when you make a mistake and still show up with integrity, with fire, with the decision to keep going. That's what shapes you. That's what defines you. That's what builds a foundation strong enough to carry success that lasts. Failure isn't just a detour on the way to success. Sometimes it is the way. The stumbling blocks become stepping stones when you use them right. Every time you fall and rise again, you're building a story deeper than just results. You're building a life rooted in courage. So many people chase a version of success that's all surface. They chase approval. They chase status. But surface success can shatter with one blow. It's the kind built underneath, in the trenches of effort, in the decisions to rise again, that actually lasts. That kind of success is built slowly, but it's built strong. It's built on experience, not just wins. On wisdom, not just luck. On a refusal to quit, not just a string of perfect choices. Falling doesn't make you a failure, quitting does. Giving up on yourself when things get tough. When the lights go out, when the world stops clapping, that's when real success is on the line. Because real success isn't measured when everything is going your way. It's measured in the moments you could have walked away, but chose instead to rise, rebuild, and keep walking anyway. We live in a world obsessed with planning. Everywhere you turn, someone is selling blueprints, strategies, 5-step formulas, and 30-day programs. It's easy to believe that until you have every step figured out Every risk calculated, every piece of the puzzle in place, you can't begin. That belief has paralyzed more dreams than failure ever could. The truth is, no matter how perfect the plan, life will always introduce the unexpected. Something will go sideways. Something will fall apart. Something will shake you. And in those moments, it won't be your plan that saves you. It will be your reason. A powerful reason is stronger than any plan. Plans are made in comfort, in quiet moments with clarity and control, but reasons are forged in fire, in struggle, in pain, in desire that refuses to be silenced. When your why is big enough, it will carry you through days when nothing else makes sense. When you have a reason that hits your core, you'll find the energy to keep walking even when the road disappears. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to have the next 10 years mapped out. You don't need to wait for certainty. What you need is conviction. That deep, burning knowing inside you that says, this matters, this is worth it. This is who I am. That knowing is what gets you up early and keeps you pushing when others quit. That knowing is what makes you innovate, adjust, and try again when the plan breaks down. Waiting for the perfect time, the perfect budget, the perfect team, the perfect idea. It's a trap. Because perfection is a myth. The conditions you're waiting for rarely show up the way you expect. And if you let that stop you, you'll stay stuck in preparation mode forever. Always getting ready, never launching, never learning, never growing. The truth is, action teaches you more than planning ever will. Every move you make, even the messy ones, brings clarity. It reveals what works and what doesn't. It introduces you to resilience, creativity, and the kind of confidence you can only earn through movement. Think about how many breakthroughs happen not because someone had it all figured out, but because they started with what they had right where they were. Some of the greatest stories began with nothing but a stubborn reason to try. No money, no connections, no guarantees, just a fire in the gut that refused to die out. That kind of reason is the foundation of real change. People often confuse preparation with progress. But you can study forever and still not start. You can research every option and still not make a move. It's not information that transforms you. It's action. And action is fueled not by perfect conditions, but by powerful reasons. When you have a reason that won't let you quit, you become resourceful. You find a way. You create the momentum that planning alone never gives you. A strong reason does something incredible to your mindset. It rewires how you think about obstacles. Instead of seeing setbacks as signs to stop, you start seeing them as signals to adapt. Instead of giving up when the plan doesn't go as expected, you dig deeper. Because your commitment isn't to a flawless process, it's to the purpose behind it. That kind of thinking turns ordinary effort into extraordinary persistence. It's not the most talented, the most prepared, or the most connected who always win. It's the most committed, the ones who have something to fight for, the ones who are willing to look foolish, to fall down, to get up, and to try again without apology. Because their reason is louder than their fear. Their reason is stronger than their excuses. Their reason won't let them settle. And while the world waits for conditions to be right, they move, they build, they learn, they grow. Because they understand that progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from purpose in motion. Triumph is not a random gift handed to a lucky few. It isn't something you stumble into without scars or sacrifice. It's built, earned, forged in the heat of adversity. It is the product of moments most people try to avoid. Moments of struggle, rejection, and the kind of persistence that keeps you moving when every voice inside and outside is telling you to stop. If you dig deep into any story of success that truly means something, you'll find a trail of hardship behind it. You'll find pain that had to be endured, doors that were slammed shut, and decisions that had to be made when no obvious reward was in sight. Struggle is where the real transformation happens. It challenges you, exposes you, and ultimately refines you. There's no shortcut through struggle, no bypass around it, and no way to fake your way through it. It asks you one question again and again. How bad do you want this? And you answer not with words, but with effort, with action, with consistency, even when the results don't show up right away. Struggle forces you to develop the internal strength that success demands. You can't buy that kind of strength. You can't inherit it. You earn it by standing in the fire and refusing to let it consume you. Then there's rejection, and it's one of the most misunderstood forces on the path to triumph. Rejection isn't personal. It's part of the process. It's not a sign that you're not good enough. It's a test of how much belief you're willing to hold on to when others can't see what you see. Rejection can bruise your ego, but it also sharpens your vision. Every time someone says no, you have a choice: to believe them or to believe yourself. Every rejection you survive builds your tolerance for risk. It teaches you to create your own opportunities instead of waiting for approval. It trains you to keep knocking, to keep building, to keep speaking your truth, even when the world tries to silence it. Persistence is the thread that ties it all together. It's what turns struggle into wisdom and rejection into redirection. It's the quiet force behind every success story that matters. Not the loud, dramatic effort people post about, but the relentless consistency, the grind, the repetition, the doing it over and over again, when no one's clapping and nothing is guaranteed. Persistence is what keeps the vision alive when the world seems indifferent. It's the voice inside that whispers, keep going, even when your circumstances are screaming the opposite. It's the daily decision to show up, not just when it's easy, not just when it's exciting, but especially when it's hard and frustrating and painfully slow. People want the glory, but few are willing to go through the grind. They want the applause, but avoid the process. But triumph doesn't come from skipping the struggle or avoiding the discomfort. It's born from the moments you could have quit, but didn't. It's born from the nights you stayed up trying again, from the days you got knocked down and chose to rise. Triumph grows in silence, in the lonely places where you build without recognition, where you sacrifice without a spotlight, where you persist without a promise. And then, when it finally arrives, not just in results, but in who you've become, you understand why the struggle mattered. You understand that every rejection toughened your skin, that every setback sharpened your focus, that every obstacle demanded a better version of you. And that's the real reward. Not just what you achieved, but who you became through the process. Triumph isn't just about crossing a finish line. It's about what you learn to carry along the way. It's about developing the muscle of resilience, the courage to keep standing, the faith to keep believing, and the grit to keep building even when everything seems to push against you. Struggle breaks many, but for those who embrace it, who push through it with heart and hunger, it becomes the birthplace of something greater than success. There comes a moment when the waiting has to end. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the pain to pass. Waiting for the circumstances to change. Waiting for the fear to fade. We wait because we've been conditioned to believe that change needs permission. From others, from the world, from some invisible force that signals when we're finally allowed to begin again. But the truth is, comebacks don't wait for permission. They begin the moment you decide you're done standing still. The world has taught many people to wait for validation before they act. Wait for the approval of a parent. the encouragement of a friend, the confidence of a coach or a mentor or a boss. We wait for something outside of us to say, now is your time. But what if that voice never comes? What if you are the one meant to speak it over yourself? Because the reality is, no one is coming to rescue you. The rescue has to come from within. It's not about waiting for life to give you the green light. It's about recognizing you've had the keys all along. Comebacks are not built on the sidelines. They're not made in passivity. They're made in motion. Not perfect motion. Not graceful motion. Just motion. It begins with one small act of defiance against your own doubt. One step forward, even if your legs are still shaking. One decision to show up, even when you don't feel ready. Comebacks are less about lightning bolts and more about the quiet refusal to stay down. The quiet decision to rise before you feel like you can. Because waiting for the perfect mindset, the perfect mood, or the perfect moment only delays the very breakthrough you're craving. Every day you wait is a day you lose to fear. Fear of failing again. Fear of judgment. Fear of not being enough. But what if that fear is simply energy waiting to be redirected? What if that fear is your mind telling you this next step matters? Because the fear you feel isn't always a warning. Sometimes it's a compass. And the presence of fear is often proof that you're standing at the edge of something worth pursuing. Something that could redefine your life if you just take the leap. Waiting also creates a trap of overthinking. You begin to analyze everything, your past mistakes, the worst case scenarios, the voices of people who told you to play small. And the more you analyze, the more you hesitate. The more you hesitate, the more powerless you feel. And the longer you feel powerless, the more you believe you actually are. But the moment you choose action over hesitation, even something as small as writing that email, making that call, standing up instead of lying down, something shifts. You take back control. You reclaim your momentum. And momentum is everything. Comebacks are not grand gestures made in front of crowds. They're born in quiet places, in moments where no one sees the battle but you. When you decide to get out of bed on the day your heart is heavy. When you open the door to opportunity, even though you're still healing. When you speak up after years of silence. When you decide that you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to do next. That is where comebacks are born. In the space between defeat and decision. In the exact second you stop waiting for life to change and start becoming the force that changes it. You don't have to be fearless to rise. You just have to be willing. Willing to risk being seen starting over. Willing to take a step without seeing the whole path. Willing to try again, not because you're guaranteed success, but because you refuse to let failure have the final word. Willing to become a beginner again, to start fresh, to believe that there is more ahead than what lies behind. The moment you stop waiting for circumstances to rescue you and start rising from within, that's when the comeback begins to unfold, not outside of you, but from the ground you stand on right now. Every setback you've faced wasn't a dead end. It was a detour designed to reroute you toward your strength. You weren't meant to stay buried beneath disappointment, rejection, or fear. You were meant to rise through it, to grow from it, to become someone who doesn't just survive hard seasons, but transforms because of them. Success was never about perfection. It was never about flawless execution or having all the answers. It's always been about your decision to get back up, your courage to begin again, your refusal to let failure be louder than your purpose. You don't need every step mapped out. You need a reason that ignites movement. And once you move, you learn, you adapt, and you evolve. Struggle is not your enemy. Rejection is not your limit. Delay is not your denial. These are the raw materials of greatness. the same forces that shaped every comeback that ever mattered. And while others wait for conditions to improve, for fear to disappear, for life to finally cooperate, you rise, right where you are, scarred, imperfect, uncertain, but willing. Because the real power was never in what happened to you. It's in what you choose to do next. Your comeback isn't somewhere in the distance. It starts the moment you stop waiting and start rising.